Hello and welcome to our Foothold Giving video. If you are tuning in, I am so excited. We are so excited as Foothold that you have made the decision to take another step towards joining us in our work and our mission. And so I want to give you 10 different ways so you can find the way that suits you the best. Some of them involve money and some don't. And if anything that you're interested in, you'll find the links below or connections so you can who to contact below in the description of the video. So let's just jump in. Once again, thank you so much for clicking, for joining, and try to keep this as brief as possible and explain as well as I can. So for 2020, our goal was to raise $20,000. This is to meet the gap for our operating expenses. To date, today is October 13th, and we are currently about $12,000 toward that goal. So we still have about an $8,000 gap, but we're hopeful. You're tuning in and others are too, and that we're going to reach that goal very soon. You know, Foothold is a faith-based organization. So the first thing we want to ask you for is to pray for us. My mother, Peggy Waters, has a email list that she sends out prayer requests. And if you want to join that group, you can contact her through the link in the description and keep those updates so you can either pray for us privately or collectively with that group. The next thing you could do, number 2, is to volunteer. And I really want to encourage you, a lot of people like to volunteer, is that we think about how much you'd like to volunteer a month or a week and to set up a schedule. And some people like to volunteer and help us with, mailings or paperwork. They like to help us with cleanup and setup. They like to help out with soap making, labeling, packaging, things like that. And so that volunteers really help us to be able to go further and free us up to really engage in the mission of Foothold. So that just helps us leap out further with Foothold's mission. Another thing you can do is to visit our Foothold Market, and you'll notice if you go there that it's a separate website. This is our e-commerce version of Foothold International. So if you go to Foothold International, you're not going to find our market supplies, our market sales. So if you go to the Foothold Market, you could find handmade soap and lotions, conditioners, things that are handmade here in Ohio by Sherry. But we also have a partnership with Pacha Soap. So if you like their soap and their products, they are a supporter and a partner with us from the beginning of our soap program. You buy a bar of soap through our website or through Kindly Shop in down Chillicothe. Those soaps, the proceeds directly support Foothold. There's also aprons and bags and jewelry that our ladies groups have made. And so when you purchase those also go to support their ministry. Another thing we're excited about that we launched this summer, we've had some good feedback, is our Roundup app. Don't confuse this with the Roundup weed killer. It's something very different. And so the premise of Roundup app is that you donate your spare change. So you can find out more about this if you visit Foothold's website. We have in the banner, we have a little video tutorial and a blog post that explains how this works a little bit more. It's really customizable. We encourage you, if you're interested in this, to go to our website and to find this in the banner and to sign up through our website, because it will direct you directly to Foothold's giving. There's other organizations, of course, that Roundup works with. So if you wanted to go to us, recommend that you go to our site and find that blog page, and it makes it pretty easy. You can really customize this, and if you read through and explain a little bit more how it works, you basically designate a debit card or a credit card. For every purchase, it rounds it up to the nearest dollar. There's all kinds of ways to customize. For example, you could make it a minimum donation and a maximum, and you can freeze it throughout the month if you notice that there's a lot more giving than you're able to give or want to give that particular month. You can freeze it. So it is completely versatile to you and how much you want to give through that app. The next one is Amazon Smile, and this one actually costs you nothing. Many of us regularly visit Amazon for basic needs and so forth, and I use it a lot for our soap making and our various office supplies. So if you go to Amazon Smile, smile.amazon.com, you can set up your account and link it to this charitable giving. So Amazon will give based on how much you purchase every quarter. If you go there, there's many different organizations, so you want to make sure that if you're intending to give to Foothold, that you find that. So I'll show you what we kind of look like here. If you search for Foothold, You notice there's some similar organizations have similar names, but we are in Chillicothe, Ohio, so that's definitely a telltale sign you're in the right place. And then it'll designate. Like I said, doesn't increase the cost of anything you do, but it designates Amazon's charitable giving to us, and it really does add up, little by little. And if everyone engages in it, then it'll help us so much more. So very similar program is Kroger. If you're a regular Kroger customer, if you go, some people go to Kroger for everything because they build up their points, and so you can designate their community points, which doesn't add anything else to the cost. It's just another charitable giving through Kroger, just like Amazon Smile. But you have to go all the way to the bottom of the Kroger page to find where you can designate this. If you haven't already designated, we encourage you to consider designating those funds to Foothold. So there explains it on Kroger's website, and I have the link below. You'll search for your organization. We are registered with them. You'll see that pop up in just a second. There's Foothold. So that's how that would look once you have designated those funds, and you can log back into the account to see how much you're contributing each quarter. Now, I don't probably shop at Kroger as much as many other people do, so that could be a lot more, especially if you're using it for gas points and so forth. Another option we're partnering with Network for Good is what we call a peer-to-peer campaign. For example, you could take our $20,000 goal, knowing that we have $8,000 to go, and say, hey, I'm going to take $2,000 of that, and I'm going to do a peer fundraising campaign. So this is a ready, set up template for you to use. It has sample posts that you can put on social media in various forms. It has sample thank you letters and emails already set up for you to use. So if you want to be an advocate for us and help us fundraise, some of you have the gift of fundraising, and especially you young people are really good at this. So this is there for you if you're interested in considering that. We have a couple groups that have expressed interest in doing, and we're building this right now for those who want to raise funds for our cattle drive. So purchasing a cow is about $1,000, $1,200, and so they are going to be using this to raise funds as a group. So there's a ladies group that's doing the cattle drive for Christmas, and there's also some young women who've expressed interest in starting a group for the Jasiri project. Raising funds for the washable menstrual pads. So if you have a specific interest or you just want to help contribute, this is a great way to get involved as well. It doesn't necessarily cost you money, but it's a way for you to help us fundraise. Some of you are really good at that. Now, these are really convenient, but as you know, if you're on Network for Good and you give monthly through them, or you go through the Roundup app, you're going to see that there's fees. So there are some ways to avoid fees, and they're very simple, kind of old school. You can mail a check. There's no fees involved other than the cost of postage. Or you can work with us to set up automated bill pay through your bank. Now, my husband Brad is really good at helping people walk through that process. It's not very hard at all, but each bank has a little different process. And then once you set up, there's no fees involved whatsoever. So we really like it when people set up bill pay. It helps us to budget monthly when we know those funds are coming in. Okay, so like I mentioned, bill pay. There's the way, but also just mailing a check. And the final way that's really exciting thing that we'd like to encourage you, and this video is part of that process, is that we have a video that we did on October 15th. It's an introduction to Foothold, and that's another tool you could use. We really would encourage you. One of the most valuable things you can do is to host an event. Right now we're encouraging people to host these virtually. So we could do a more informal Zoom meeting where we get to talk with your group of friends or family, or your social club, social group, your dorm mates, whatever that group of connections you have. Bring them together to learn more about Foothold International. So they can go and watch that video from October 15th, and then we can set up a Q&A session where they can ask, really specific questions and get to know who we are, a little bit more about our mission. So be a host, consider that. And so I want to recap the 10 ways that you can get involved. Of course, number 1 is pray for us. You can volunteer for our organization. Once again, encourage you to think about designating a rhythm to that. But you could also be a person that says, hey, I just want you to call me up before an event. Right? We have several people that fill in that role and do amazing work. Shop our market. Look to the Roundup app, Amazon Smile. When Amazon Smile and Kroger Community Awards both cost no money whatsoever. And then we have our ongoing giving, and we have links to that below. And if you want to avoid, you can also start a campaign within your peer group, raising that socially. And then consider bill pay, where you don't have to use any of these online features because you want to avoid those fees. There's some information about that below too. And then last but not least, we would really love for you to host your own personal event. So thank you again for tuning in. And if you have more ideas for us, please email us, and we would love to hear from you. Once again, thanks again, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.